Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and in this video I want to point out some of the differences between airline aviation and general aviation. So, in one of my last videos we covered the topic of the difference between a checklist and a procedure and how to correctly work with them in an airline environment. Now you will undoubtedly notice that in general aviation things are a little bit different. So let's start by having a quick review as to an airline checklist. So going over it, for example, here we've got a typical Boeing 737 checklist, which only covers the most important points, as you can see, and then we've got the procedures or the flows in the flight crew operations manual, where everything is laid out in detail. Now, pilots would memorize those flows and then only confirm the most important points afterwards by going over the normal checklists. And that is how you'd fly an airliner. Now, undoubtedly, if you've been flying in any general aviation aircraft recently, you will have noticed that checklists do look quite a bit different than they do in the airline aviation. So let's head right into our little Honda jet over here and have a look. So over here we can bring the checklists up directly on the EFIS instruments, and going over it you can see that, for example, the before starting engines checklist, which is the earliest checklist that we have in here, it goes over pretty much every single system you have in the airplane. So you've got battery, oxygen, pressurization, electrical. So basically once the electrical power is on, it leads you all the way here from the left to the right over the entirety of the panel. Now that is quite a different operating philosophy, as you can easily imagine, and for that reason I'm dedicating a separate video to it. So why is there such a different philosophy? Well, first of all, while airline procedures are made in a way that the entire procedure is carried out and then you use the checklist in order to ensure that everything has been done, in general aviation that is a little bit different. So in airline aviation, pilots typically fly between 700 to 1000 flight hours every year. Now, in general aviation that is not the case. Many pilots only get to something like 100 or 200 hours a year if they fly for a commercial operator, like a charter company for example, but if they fly for only for a single person, like for example corporate owned aircraft, or for example like if you yourself are the owner of the aircraft, then you might even fly less than 100 hours a year. And that really means you are going to lose some of the proficiency in the aircraft you fly. And that is why business jets are designed so completely different than airliners. You can see, looking around the cockpit of the Honda jet over here, there is only a couple switches literally in here, and the rest of the thing is just automated. Now, this is all designed to take into account the lower experience and the lower proficiency those business jet pilots undoubtedly have. Now, the same goes for the checklists. Those are made as read and do checklists compared to the airlines, where you basically have carried everything out and then just use the checklist to confirm things. Here in the business environment, you do it as a read and do, so you literally step through every single one of those, while at the same time checking and handling the switch as appropriate. And this leads you, when I'm bringing you all the way to some more checklists, for example here on the starting engine checklist, it literally means that you run the checklist while you are carrying out the engine start. Similarly, if you've been wondering, this is also the reason why there are, for example, some checklists like this one, the taxi checklist, where you literally go brakes checked, nose wheel steering checked, flight instruments checked. But going further than even the takeoff checklist, where, you know, things are just explained like, okay, so this is what you do now, this is what you do now, and so on. So if we go, for example, down here into the landing checklist, then you can kind of see that thrust levers idle, brakes apply after touchdown, speed brake extend. You know, that is not a checklist you would read in an airline sense, but this is kind of telling the pilot ahead of time what to do over here, and this is how those aircraft are flown. Now, again, this does not necessarily mean that they are less safe to fly, even though the accident statistics do confirm that airlines are usually a little bit safer than private jets, but obviously there are a lot less private jets out there to work on such a statistic. Alright, so that is the reason why there are differences between the procedures in airlines and private operators. And then again, if you are flying for a private operator, you might even be flying several different types of aircraft. So pilots can be type rated in more than one aircraft. Right now I'm holding a type rating for the Boeing 737 and for the Airbus A330, A350. So I'm basically licensed to fly all different kind of aircraft, from the 737-300 to the MAX 10, and then from the A330 to the A350. Now, that is quite a bit of aircraft to remember. However, if you've got enough proficiency, if you keep flying those things, then you can do it. But imagine you're only flying like 50 hours in a year on the Honda jet, and then you fly another 50 hours on Cessna Citation. Then chances are you will need those read and do checklists in order to work through everything safely. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. I do hope you found this little insight interesting. Do let me know in the comments below and leave a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithms. Finally, if you're interested in more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'm very much looking forward to see you on the next one. In the meantime, if you really love my videos, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. But I'd like to say goodbye to you now, hope that you've enjoyed this one, and I see you all again on the next one.